Allow me to start this video by saying this. We all love Kubo, but just as it is with literally every other mangaka, he does have flaws to his game, and in today's video, we will take a look at one of Kubo's greatest misses, Yasutora Sado, or Chad for short. If you're watching this video, you've probably seen or read Bleach and you've undoubtedly watched 1,000 videos on character analysis. I'm not interested in telling you things you already know, so here's something a little different. In this video, Rebirth, which is me, is going to attempt to fix Chad. By the end of this, we'll turn Chad from the forgotten into the formidable. Are you ready? Let's do this. When I take a look at Chad's character, there's only one thing that I would genuinely want to change. It's not giving him a goal or some drawn out backstory that makes us feel sorry for him. Not all characters need things like that. There's only one thing that Chad's character truly needs, and that's called relevancy. Despite all the missed opportunities in the previous arcs, I still believe that as long as we give Chad relevancy when it counts, the final arc, Chad, just like Rukia and Renji, will finally have his redemption. So how are we gonna do this? My idea hinges on this already established Bleach law. The Quincy's hate for the Hollow is not a matter of disdain or dislike, but more so a response to their survival instincts. In other words, Hollows are a mortal threat to the Quincy and the two are directly opposed. That was the reason why the Stern Ritter were unable to retain the Bankai of the Hollowified Shinigami. Hollow Ryatsu is poisonous to Quincy. So with that in mind, consider this. Based on Bleach theory, no race should deal as much damage to Quincy than Hollows. That is why Yuha's first military tactic was to subdue Wakemundo and abduct its queen, Tear Harrybell. Building off that thought process, if Chad has a Fullbring, which is grounded in Hollow Ryatsu, then Chad along with the characters like the Vizards and Arrancar become very valuable to the war. He becomes, dare I say, relevant, or at least he should have been. Hollow Ryatsu is so toxic to Quincy that it is able to override their ability to steal Bankai from Shinigami. Anyone with hollow powers immediately becomes highly valuable to the war. So instead of relegating this man to obscurity, what if we put Chad into important battles against the Stern Ritter? He doesn't necessarily have to battle them 1v1 if you're worried about the power scaling, but he can be the blade at the end of the sword for a lot of the Shinigami. And so in order to properly picture this, let me paint something for you. As good as the Stern Ritters were, not all of them were needed. There are some who are basically thrown to the side and underused. So what do we do this? Don't keep Chad and Wakemundo until Ichika returns. No, bring him back much sooner, after Kisuke establishes that Hollow Ryatsu is poisonous to Quincy. I would have Kisuke use the Garganta to get Chad to the Serete, and then Chad along with the other Vizard captains can then become the Blade of Shinigami. Two characters who could very easily have been opponents for Chad are Meninus McAllen, who was off-screen by Lil Toto Lampard, and Nanana Najacoup. After dealing with these two characters, Chad could very easily have ascended with the rest of Shinigami and partook in their battles later on. Again, he doesn't necessarily have to be taking opponents on single-handedly, but when you have an already established idea that Hollow Ryatsu is incredibly potent against Quincy, there is an entire sub-arc you can create centered around the preservation of all Shinigami allied Hollow Ryatsu fighters, like the Vizards, Arrancars, and Fullbringers. And what's more, after Chad's training in Wakemundo, you could have him interact with the Arrancar on that side, who could help him understand more about his power. So far, Chad's abilities have centered around his left and right arm. What if we give him access to more transformed limbs? In the same way that characters like Mirror Jane from Fairy Tail has what Mashima calls a full body takeover, Chad could very easily have his own unique version of this. With the Diablo theme around his powers, he could very well have had a diabolical final form. So you might be wondering, Rebirth, why are you focusing on the final arc specifically? If you want to make Chad better, why don't you go to the previous arcs? And the reason why I'm focusing on the final arc specifically is because despite all the missed opportunities he may have had in prior arcs, this is the arc where his skills would have been needed the most. Having abilities grounded in Hollow Ryatsu has never been more relevant than in a war against the Quincy. If these ideas were to be implemented, they would make Chad relevant. And by giving Chad relevancy, you take a useless, unimportant character and transform it into a standout character who has a legitimate advantage to offer our heroes. He becomes one of the few hand-to-hand combatants in the sword-heavy show. And by the end of things, you would not be looking at him in the same vein as a Byakuya, or as a Kenpachi, or as a Rukia or Renji. No, not necessarily, and he doesn't need to be. But at the end of the day, you look at his character and say, he was needed He may not have been the one to strike down U-Haul or defeat one of the top tier Storm Raider, but he had a part to play. He was necessary, he had relevancy, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for a character the likes of Chad. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys there. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I have more ideas for Rebirth Fixes series, and if you'd like to see any more, please do let me know what characters you'd like me to do in the future. But anyway, that's all I got for now. See you in the next one. Peace out.